Hello, my name is Levi Thomas with Greentec Auto. Today I'd like to tell you about some really cool batteries that we just got in. These battery modules were removed from the Lordstown EV trucks that were made in 2022 and 2023. They have a very high energy density, rigid structure, and they have connectors for liquid cooling. They can handle very high current discharge, making them an ideal solution for EV conversions, golf carts, or other applications where you need a lot of power in less space. We have some with Samsung cells and others with LG Chem. Both are 8S and 29 volts nominal. 315 amp hours, which is 9 kilowatt hours of total capacity per module. The two different types have the same dimensions, the same weight. They both use M10 bolts in the negative and positive most connections, but they do have some differences. So both types have 7 10,000 ohm thermistors that are thermal glued onto the negative end of a cell that each touch one of the 7 coolant pipes that go through in parallel through the module. And there's 7 coolant tubes, so there's 7 temperature sensors on these modules. Now you'll only need to use a couple of them. So the ribbon cable that connects to them is probably going to be your best point to solder onto if you're going to use these temperature sensors. And there's 14 pins and it's 14 millimeters wide. You'll only need to solder on to probably 1 or 2 of them for your BMS. So that makes it a lot easier to do. There's no good spot to solder anywhere close to the cells. So that's probably your best bet, or just use the temperature sensors that came with your BMS. If you decide to use the ribbon cable that connects to each cell group for balancing and voltage monitoring, they have 500 milliamp fuses built right into the ribbon cable within an inch of each cell group. To use these ribbon connections, there's a couple different ways you could do it. The first would be to scratch through the plastic and actually solder onto the trace on the ribbon cable, but that's not an easy task, especially for beginners, nor is it ideal for a vehicle that's going to have a lot of motion and vibration. Ideally, you'd want to find the other end of the plug that has better legs that you can solder wires onto. Or the simplest and most reliable way is just to remove the ribbon cable altogether and use the wires that came with your BMS kit and go directly to each cell group itself. Each cell has a nickel tab that's coming about 3/4 of an inch out of the module, and then there's some silicone around it, so you can solder pretty easily right to that nickel strip, and you're not soldering directly onto a cell, so there's no heat getting transferred in there or anything dangerous like that at all. And then there's also no plugs or anything that can wiggle loose or corrode over time. So another thing to note, all of these modules on the positive and negative side on the bus bars, there's a 5 millimeter bolt, and these bus bars carry all the current, and they're very close to the battery module itself. So if your bolt is too long, when it tightens down on one side, if you go too far, it's going to crush this ribbon cable, which is your temperature sensors. And those are very fragile ribbon cables, so you don't want that. But even on the other side, you could go down far enough and damage the plastic and hit the cells and short out your battery. So what I like to do is actually put some plastic underneath it, some thick plastic, and so make sure you're not hitting it. But then make sure your ring terminal is thick enough or your bolt is short enough so that when everything's tight, you have plenty of space underneath. And if you don't, you can add some washers, but always make sure you add the washers on top of your ring terminal, between the ring terminal and your head of the bolt, so that the current flows through the bus bar, touching the ring terminal, and goes right to the wire, and the current does not have to go through your washers, because washers don't conduct electricity very well. So these are perfect for a Tesla conversion because Tesla uses a 96S configuration, and these are an 8S module. So you only need 12 of these modules to reach 96S instead of 16 Tesla Model S modules like most people do. 16 Tesla modules that are 5.3 kilowatt hours each totals $25,600. where 12 Lordstown modules are only 6 grand. Thanks again for watching another one of our videos. While these Lordstown modules are being sold individually for DIY projects, because we're never going to get a Lordstown truck to put them into, our main business here at Greentec Auto is refurbishing EV and hybrid batteries and then installing them right into your car. We have over 30 locations that we own right in the United States and a couple in Canada as well. So we're the largest company in the United States by far that refurbishes and installs batteries. We'll even come to you and put it in your driveway. So as you can imagine, if this Lordstown isn't the right form factor or physical dimensions for your car or project, we have 197 SKUs right now on greentechauto.com, and that's mostly our hybrid and EV car batteries. But if you want modules out of those, I'm sure we can work something out. But if you go to greentechenergy.com, that's our individual modules that have all been cycle tested, pulled out, and are ready to ship. So one of which is the new VW ID4, and that's an LG Chem battery. So that's going to be one of the next videos. So like and subscribe to follow us and see when that comes out. It comes in both an 8S and a 12S configuration in the same physical format. That's a great solution for very small cars, but then if you can fit 12 modules in your car, the Lordstown, for the price it is a really good deal per kilowatt hour, especially when you get 12 in series. That's 108 kilowatt hours. So that kind of beats all of them. So whatever you need, I'm sure we have it. And reach out to us if you have any questions or comment down below.